Hello there, fellow Star Wars nerds, and welcome to Unlimited Content, the podcast where two brothers talk about all of Star Wars film and TV in chronological order on the internet as an excuse to hang out more. We're your hosts, Sam and Jack, and this week we're talking about Tales of the Jedi, Episode 4, The Sith Lord.
Indeed. I like the way you said chronological there.
Chronological order. Chronological order. Oh, man. Jack, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Sam. How are you today, Sam?
I'm well. It's your face. I love your face. You got a good face.
I like
These
your
good
face
people
too.
over the Spotify can't hear your face, but it's a good face. So,
yeah.
There you go.
I've been told I have a very silent face. You know,
Silent face. I've been told I have a face for radio, so that's why I'm in podcasting.
Excellent.
Oh,
right.
man. This is our last episode of Tales of the Jedi for a while. It's a big one.
Indeed.
And presumably the bills still need to get paid.
True.
Jack Ford, who's paying our bills this week? Who is our sponsor this week?
Yeah. The bills keep going up. You've got a new microphone and everything. We got to pay for that.
I do.
Somehow.
I do, yes. My fancy, handy-dandy, hand-me-down microphone. Love it.
Indeed.
Thank you, Jack, for the microphone. Yeah.
Sam's using an old microphone of mine. So hopefully it sounds a little crisper, a little nicer, a little more bassy and you know, like this is 99% invisible. I'm Roman Mars.
Roman Mars, is that you? It sounds just like you with your fancy microphone.
Roman Mars is the bassiest man in existence. I every time I listen to an episode of 99% Invisible, it's like my car shakes. You know,
dude, I gotta get back into 99% Invisible. That when I was working in Kansas, living in Texas, and driving back and forth, doing college ministry, coming home for semesters and stuff, I would binge 99% Invisible, and I don't think I've listened to it since. Or when Sarah and I were dating long distance when I was living in Texas and she was living in Kansas.
Yeah,
I listened to a lot of podcasts like 99% Invisible. Listen to Serial. Listen to a lot of fun podcasts. Anyway, we're getting off topic. This is a fancy microphone. Thank you, Jack, for the fancy microphone. No more $30 Amazon microphone.
Yay!
I have a real microphone. Yay! Microphone that was probably worse than my AirPods audio. Let's be honest. It probably should have just gone with the MacBook audio, but we did not.
You know what?
I wanted to feel professional.
We got through 4 episodes with that microphone, and it worked well enough. You know,
got through a whole gosh darn movie with that microphone.
Whole dang our gigantic 2-hour and 10-minute episode from last week.
Yes, you're welcome. Look, Jack, is there a limit on this content?
No, it is unlimited.
No,
you could say
unlimited content. You're welcome.
And speaking of unlimited content, we have unlimited sponsors.
Unlimited bills?
Unlimited bills and unlimited sponsors. Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Din Djarin's babysitting service. Use coupon code This Is The Way at checkout to get 20 credits off your next purchase.
This is the way.
This is the way. Din Djarin. He's great at babysitting, especially if your baby has force powers and can flip. You know.
Yep. Oh man. So we're when you hear this, the season finale of Mandalorian season 3 will have already released. But as we're recording, this is the night before the season finale of Mandalorian season 3, so we have no idea what's going to happen, and I am so scared. Jack, I'm so scared for Din Djarin. What? I'm so scared.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think they're going to kill him off.
No, I don't think so either.
You know, it's.
But my fear is that they're going to Winter Soldier Din Djarin. They're going to mind flay Din Djarin. He's going to be the Winter Soldier, but the Mandalorian. And so he's going to be Moff Gideon's going to pull out a little red notebook and say some words in Russian. And then Din Djarin is going to turn into a super soldier and just gun down all the other Mandalorians and work for the Empire and not remember Grogu. And I don't know what's going to... I'm so scared.
Train car, 17, scissors,
whatever it was.
The codes are.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot that could happen. I guess. Yeah, let's before we get into anything else, let's talk a little bit about the part 1 of the finale that aired last time.
Yes.
Because man, what an episode! That was an amazing episode.
Such a good episode.
And also it ended on a cliffhanger, and yeah.
I have not been that nervous and had like my blood pumping while watching an episode of Star Wars probably since Andor. Like it was oh man, like I was I had my hand was over my mouth for like the last half of the episode, especially like at that reveal when they're on Mandalore. They've been ambushed by other Mandalorian super soldiers, which we learned later are the Imperial Commandos under Moff Gideon's like rule.
Wearing Beskar
just
armor.
Wearing Beskar armor. Yeah, they're getting ambushed, and then like the slow reveal of realizing that they're chasing these commandos into like they think they're just chasing them deeper into the cave, but it's Moff Gideon's like hideout from the beginning of the episode that we didn't know where it was.
Yeah,
turns out he's been on Mandalore the whole time.
Yeah, we like as soon as they start approaching a hallway, that I'm like, that hallway looks very clean and gray. And I was like, oh no, this is they're going into an Imperial base of some kind. This is not good.
Yeah, why do they have those really cool white like ring lights all around like the doorways?
Yeah,
like why? Yeah, they're like, oh no, that's Imperial. Oh, F. No.
Yeah. So yeah, just briefly, this episode was the episode where the Mandalorians, as led by Bo-Katan, make their way back to Mandalore as part of a relatively small scouting party of about a dozen people. They meet up with, or they encounter like a group of other Mandalorians that have been living on the surface, basically, like just kind of trying to survive off the land after the bombing of Mandalore.
Yeah.
On this like
land
speed, this giant like air powered like land speeder type thing. It looks like a pirate ship, which was super cool.
Yeah, they're like they're like pirates, but also like I was getting like Mad Max vibes from these dudes.
Oh, totally. It's a very Mad Max sort of like it's Star Warsy Mad Max. Yeah,
and also one of the survivors was Skinny Pete from Breaking Bad, which it was cool to see him like in something other than Breaking Bad. It was like, oh, I know that face. It's Skinny Pete. That's fun. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, but it was. Yeah, I interrupted you, but it was so exciting.
Yeah. So that was super cool. And then anyway, I won't go over the whole episode, but it was a really great episode, and there were some amazing lines and moments, and then they make their way to what remains of the Forge on Mandalore underground, and then they encounter these other soldiers and they fight, and then they chase them in, and then Moff Gideon shows up and traps them, and Paz Vizsla gets separated from the rest of them and stays behind and just like mows down like 30 soldiers on his own. Like he mows down all these soldiers with his like Gatling gun, and then he runs out of ammo, and then he just uses the gun as a battering ram to knock people out, and then eventually they take him down, but like not until he's already beaten most of their soldiers, and then they throw in like some like Imperial like kind of like the red guards come in, and like they have these weird like electro stick things, and it's a whole. Man, what an amazing fight sequence, and also just like Paz Vizsla as a character has gone from being like kind of the sort of jerk character that you don't want to like be siding with, because he's very like he's not nice to Din, or he doesn't like the newcomers, and he's very like this is the way, and this is the way we do it, and but like over the past few times we've seen him, I feel like I've become more ingratiated to him, and kind of have come to understand how like badass and honorable of a character this is, and then we get to see him at his best in this scene, and then they kill him and it makes me sad.
I know.
It's like I didn't know what we had until it was gone.
Oh man.
Poor Paz.
Yeah. Poor Paz. He passed away.
No. I'm quitting the podcast.
No!
You've ruined it. But yeah, so we ended on a cliffhanger with everybody else running away as Paz Vizsla holds all those soldiers off. Din Djarin has been captured, right?
Yes.
And we don't know what's going to happen next, and
we don't know.
Moff Gideon's back, and he has a crazy suit of Beskar robo armor, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. Oh, and let's not forget, Grogu has a Gundam now. That's fun.
Oh, right. Was that this episode? Man.
That was this episode.
So much happened in this episode. That was
the very beginning of the episode. Yeah. Grief Karga gives Grogu it's IG-11, but he hollowed out the inside and put a chair in the middle and just set Grogu in there.
Yeah.
And is like, let him drive it. It's fun. And just total total weird uncle, I got him this toy, he's gonna play with it right now, and Dad's like, I don't know if he's gonna play with it right now. It's like, no, he's gonna play with it. Here. Puts him in. and then he's just spamming the yes and no button, and it's just like, no, yes. And it's just Taika Waititi yelling yes or no.
Oh, that is Taika Waititi, isn't it? Yeah.
It's Taika Waititi. Yeah.
I totally forgot that.
He recorded 2 words.
Yeah, no, this episode really did have everything. It was it
was such a good episode.
Reunions of characters. We got some really great comedy. We got amazing action sequences. We got lore. We got twists. We got a cliffhanger. Oh man, can't wait to see how it ends. I'm also nervous. Yeah,
I'm so scared. I don't know. Star Wars has already killed off one major character in recent memory. They haven't killed off the main character yet.
True.
In any they killed Echo, but he was part of the main cast of characters, but not the main character.
Echo.
They killed Hunter or Omega to be different.
You mean Tech?
Yeah, Echo. Yeah.
You mean Tech?
Yeah. What did I say?
You said Echo. Echo's not dead.
Well, okay.
If they kill Echo, they already killed Echo once in the Clone Wars, and then we got him back.
Oh man,
we cannot kill Echo again.
Well, he wouldn't be the first character to get 2 on-screen deaths and come back in Star Wars. So
true.
Yeah, we should have the Grand Inquisitor die twice. So,
okay. Well, so yeah.
Anyway,
that's. I'm sure you all have.
That's Mando.
You all know what happened already, but this is us in the past.
Yeah, don't
wildly speculating.
Yeah, don't spoil it for me in the past.
Yeah, be quiet, guys. We're podcasting here.
Yeah. Shh. No talking. We're podcasting.
All right. Okay. Well, what else? What have you been up to, Sam? Been watching, reading, playing, listening to anything interesting, or just anything else in your life that's going on you want to talk about?
I mean, I've continued to be reading Light of the Jedi.
Excellent.
Still pretty good. It's kind of slowing down a little bit. We're kind of learning about other enemies in the world. Mm-hmm. There's still a lot of mystery and intrigue going on. Not as exciting as the first part, and so I'm kind of slowing down in my reading of it, just because I'm a busy guy, and work is work, and I have a toddler, and doctor's appointments, and life, and you know how it goes. Mm-hmm. So I'm still reading that. As far as what I'm watching, pretty much nothing but Star Wars, nothing but the Mandalorian episodes that come out, and
stuff for this.
I'm playing. Yeah. And stuff for this. That's why we're here.
Indeed.
I just pre-ordered Tears of the Kingdom yesterday.
Yes, the Legend
so we'll get
of
it in
Zelda.
about a month. Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, aka Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah, less than a month until that game comes out.
I know. Yeah. Very excited. Are you doing you pre-ordered it too, right?
I haven't pre-ordered it. I'm gonna get it.
Okay.
The day it comes out, I might pre-order it. I might, it's one of those things that I'm not worried about them not having enough stock on launch day of this massively anticipated game. But
yes, yeah.
But yes, I will absolutely be playing it.
Yeah, I pre-ordered it just because I know that getting out to the store with a toddler is a challenge.
Sure,
so why not just mail it to me? Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. I'm very excited about that game. Other than that, what else have I been doing? I discovered it's not I discovered it. No one's ever heard it before.
You discovered it.
It's new to me. I discovered it. I'm the first one to ever discover it. It's a new genre of music that I've become obsessed with today.
Okay.
It's called Japanese city pop.
City pop's great.
Yeah.
I'm aware of the city pop.
Yeah,
yes.
see, No, not before me. Come on, I discovered it.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I'm the first one. Yeah. No,
city pop, tell me, what is that? I don't know.
Yeah, it's so much fun. It's just, how would you describe it? Because you also, but the way I described it to Sarah when I was just listening to it at work and be like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. It's amazing. I love it. It's 80s music meets funk meets I'm gonna pull up the text.
It's 80s like pop music with funk and smooth jazz, sort of. It's very like
the
chill.
way I described it. Yeah, the way I described it, 80s music meets funk meets bossa nova, but it's all in Japanese.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's so smooth and groovy and upbeat and fun, and I love it. And I just need that kind of music in my life right now. It's just great, and it like is filling me with joy. And every summer since last summer, so this is it's a tradition now because I'm doing it a second summer in a row. I make a summer playlist that I just like play on repeat, but it's like 8 hours long, and currently it's like a third Japanese city pop.
Excellent.
And I love it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, there's I'm gonna have to look this up again, but there's I watched a video a while back about like some of the influences behind some of the early Nintendo music, like on like the original Super Mario Bros. And Legend of Zelda and stuff, and some of that music was heavily inspired by Japanese city pop in some cases. So, and they're like comparisons of like, here's a track from this city pop album, and then here's a track from Zelda, and it's like, oh, they sound pretty similar actually, you know.
I got a lot of Sonic the Hedgehog vibes.
Oh yeah, totally, yeah.
The artist that like I discovered this artist on TikTok. I mean, this like it was like just kind of featured in like some TikTok, and I love this song. What is it? It's Tatsuro Yamashita. Okay, I think I'm saying that right. Probably. The song, what was the song? Oh gosh, it's all in Japanese. I can't read it. What was it?
No.
Oh no. Foiled. Oh no. Ride on Time is the song. Ride on Time by Tatsuro Yamashita. I'll find a YouTube link and we'll put it in the description. But it's great.
According to Wikipedia, Tatsuro Yamashita was among the genre's pioneers and most successful artists, and is sometimes called the king of city pop.
Ooh.
So there you go.
Look at me go. Nice. Yes. He only has 3 songs on Spotify. So, but the stuff I heard is not on Spotify. So, and this album came out, the one album that's on Spotify, there's only 2 tracks from it on Spotify, came out in 1978.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's the city pop song that I feel like I know the best, or that I feel like is one of the most well-known city pop songs, is by Maria Takeuchi. She did a song called Plastic Love that was kind of, I think a couple of years ago, it got really big on YouTube or TikTok, and there's all these like mashups of Plastic Love and other like modern songs. And anyway, it's a great song.
Yeah. So. I think I might have heard that one on this playlist. I found another playlist. Nope, just kidding. Plastic Love. I'll have to look that one up.
Yes.
Another one, Lady Pink Panther by Shigeru Suzuki. Great song.
Excellent.
More mellow, name. But it's just a great name. It's in all caps on Spotify. Lady Pink Panther. It's great. I love it.
Awesome.
Cool beans. Jack, what have you been up to? That's all I've been up to.
Let's see.
What have you been doing?
Let's see. Most recently, I mean, other than Mando and not Light of the Jedi, other than Mando and Tales of the Jedi for this, I've been watching Ted Lasso season 3, which
ooh,
yeah. Have you seen Ted Lasso, Sam?
Yes, I've seen the first 2 seasons. I have not started season 3 yet.
Yes.
Sarah and I love Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
We just haven't watched the next season yet.
Yes, it's excellent.
Are they releasing it one episode at a time,
yeah,
or is it?
It's one at a time. So they're like 4 episodes in right now, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's on Wednesdays, so the next episode comes out tomorrow. But
okay.
Yeah, no, Ted Lasso.
How many episodes are in the season?
I don't know. Good question. But yeah, Ted Lasso continues to be delightful. It's just such a well-written show that it's consistently wholesome, but not in a way that feels artificial. You know, it's earnest and feels like they're talking about, they're portraying realistic relationships and ideas. But being very, it astonishes me how frequently the writers are able to get something positive out of what any other show would have spun into something dramatic and terrible. Like I won't spoil anything, but the most recent episode is just like, you go through it and it feels like they're setting up all these moments where like, oh, this is, in any other show would feel like, oh, this is going to lead up to something bad happening at the end of the episode. Like, they're setting up for something, but by the end of it, they end up sort of subverting that expectation and taking just beautiful little life lessons out of this and spinning into something positive, which I feel like is this show's sort of superpower, is just it's the power of positivity is kind of I feel like the whole point of this show, and not in a way that is again, that feels artificial or that feels fake or if that makes sense.
No, Ted Lasso, it like the first 2 seasons, what I always loved about it is it always was wholesome and earnest and 100% authentic and never felt kitschy. Like, it never felt like cheesy life lesson, like 90s movie, everyone kind of like hugging while the end credits roll kind of thing. Yeah. Like, authentic, it was always like, it's always felt real, human, authentic, but while still like, and like very good television, while like it somehow feels like wholesome prestige television. Mm-hmm. Like, prestige television is usually like dark, gritty.
Does not have a reputation for being wholesome, certainly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, this is somehow wholesome prestige television.
Yeah, which is excellent. And of course it's consistently super funny. Like, every episode has so many lines in it that it's like that are just so smart and funny and it's great. Yeah. And also, being having lived in Kansas City for a while now, Ted Lasso, the character, is from Kansas City. And there are a lot of like references to like Kansas City in like stuff he talks about, or like the background on his laptop is an actual Kansas City barbecue joint. But like, there are a couple times he wears like a barbecue, like Kansas City barbecue t-shirt that is just a mashup of like the 5 most famous Kansas City barbecue restaurants, like all into kind of like one fictionalized like barbecue restaurant. It's like, because there's like, it mentions like, it brings in like Joe's, Q39, Arthur Bryant's, Jack Stack's. Those are kind of some of the big ones, and it somehow like ties the names of a lot of those all to like into kind of one like fictionalized Kansas City barbecue restaurant. So it's kind of cool. There's just like, I like a lot of little Easter eggs that like, it's not like one, like, it's not like singling out one barbecue place, but like while shouting out like just Kansas City barbecue in general. That's cool. Which is really cool. That's a nice attention to detail there. Yeah. One of the things I really like about Kansas. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah. I was just say, just because Kansas City has such like a unique city, like I've never lived in a place that has such a unique city culture. Like, growing up in Dallas, like Texas, I mean, like, I'm sure Austin has its own, like, Austin's like a very unique city. Yeah. And so you probably experience a lot of like, kind of like Austin pride, but like Dallas doesn't really have a lot of like, we're Dallas. Yeah. Like, Dallas feels like, very it's generic. Just like where it's just large, and it's Texas. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a city in Texas. It's not like a city that happens to be like, Austin is like its own city that is Texan. Like, whereas Dallas is just a city in Texas. Yeah, Dallas doesn't feel like it has its own identity. Yeah. No, it's just kind of like it. But I mean, it has Texas identity, which itself is great. But like, Kansas City has its own city identity, which I love. Like, it feels very homey in that way. Like, everyone kind of like I don't know. It's just very. I love it. Yeah. It's great. That is great. One of the thing I like about Ted Lasso is, I mean, I think in recent years there's been an uptick in the number of shows and movies that have done a good job of giving good like representation of mental illness and mental health, that's like authentic and good, and throughout the show, Ted Lasso deals with like panic attacks as that's one of his kind of struggles throughout the show, and it's cool to kind of see that being portrayed in a like sort of realistic way. Like, this is what it's like to have a panic attack, and in a way that feels authentic, you know, as someone who has dealt with anxiety in the past personally, like I know what that's like, and it does a good job of kind of visualize, like, using television, using visuals and audio and performance to kind of portray that. And then what I like about this most recent season is that I think a lot of shows kind of stop short. They kind of stop there. Like, this is what it's like to have anxiety, or this is what a panic attack is like, which is great, but like, we don't necessarily see progress, you know? And I think in this most recent season, we actually do see, like, you know, there's that one moment in the most recent episode where Ted has like a panic attack coming on. Like, you can tell that he's he's like about to fall into that, and then he he takes a moment and he's able to like, take a breath and process things, and it subsides before it gets bad. And so we get this cool like he's like, in the show he goes to therapy regularly, and now we're seeing kind of the results of that. So it's cool to see that sort of positive representation of not only is like, increasing awareness of mental illness, but also of like, you can get better, and this is what it can look like, which is cool. Yeah,
I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, no, that's awesome. It is good to kind of like to see stuff like that, because I feel like a lot like I can't think of any one specific show, but like I feel like in shows where some sort of like mental illness or something is portrayed, it's usually like in a really two-dimensional kind of way, or it's just kind of like I don't know, like it's just kind of like part of the wallpaper of that character.
Sure.
Like, it's not really like anything like it's not something that they're struggling with. It's just like oh, so and so's got a peg leg, so and so is depressed. Like it's just kind of like that's just like part of like their kind of like what you can see on a picture of them. Mm-hmm. Like, like it's not like it doesn't get into like the depth of it. So it's really cool to see like it actually being portrayed with depth and growth, and it being more dynamic and not just like a
character trait,
like a static.
Yeah, definitely.
That is cool.
Yeah, I've heard. I haven't seen it, but I've heard that BoJack Horseman does a good job of portraying depression. So that's been something that I haven't watched that, but I've heard a lot of good things about that show's portrayal of mental illness. So that's another good example I hear.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's great to see more and more of that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, all right. So before we move on to our main segment, I think we need to talk about a little bit of unfinished business from the last episode.
Indeed.
Yeah. So last time when we were in our segment talking about stats and talking about kill counts and things like that, there's a couple things we failed to mention. One is that Anakin got 4 kills in this. Well, I don't know. Maybe we mentioned it. Maybe we mentioned it, but we didn't have like a precise count. But I went back and looked at like the frame where it shows the few like non-droid people on the Trade Federation ship when it blows up. And there are 4 people in the room. So that's 4 confirmed kills for Anakin, which means that so far Anakin has killed the most people, which I don't think that'll, I anticipate him keeping that record.
Indeed.
But so there's that. And then we also keep track of appendages lost, and it didn't occur to me. Darth Maul lost 2 appendages. He lost both his legs. He
did. Do we keep track of who takes appendages, or just appendages lost total?
Just appendages lost at the moment. I guess we could do that, but we'd have to add a whole other.
We could. It would get bonkers.
Yes, our spreadsheet is already pretty big and unwieldy at the moment.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Great. Yep. 2 appendages lost thus far.
Yes.
All right. Unfinished business. Consider yourself
finished.
Yep. We have no voicemails this week. I had a couple people text in. We texted back and forth. I love hearing from you guys as you guys kind of like listen to the podcast. Again, Jack and I don't do this podcast for the audience. Like, we love you guys. But as we say in the intro to every episode, this is an excuse for Jack and I to hang out more. And we love bringing you guys kind of into our joy of enjoying Star Wars. So I love hearing feedback from, I know my buddy Jason from Franciscan, he is a loyal listener. He and I text back and forth after he listens to every episode. Jason, I love you, man. You're a good dude. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah. And our cousin Andy is also a faithful listener. And Michael, you're on your honeymoon. Congratulations on being married.
Congrats, Michael.
You're great. Thanks for listening as well. We love you guys. Feel free to text me, text Jack, send us a voicemail, DM us, whatever you want. We'll shout you guys out. We love you guys. Jack, do you have that phone number in front of you? Because I don't have it. I know it's my phone number, but what is phone number?
Yeah, if you'd like to join in the discussion in future episodes, you can leave a voicemail at 512-850-6653, and we might feature your comments, questions, or concerns on the podcast, or corrections if you've got, like, you said something that's incorrect, which I'm sure there's been at least 8 of those already, but nobody's called us out yet, so I'm gonna continue to believe that we are always correct, unless you call us out.
Yep.
And that phone number will also be in the description of each episode. So
beautiful. Yep. So I set up the voicemail it's supposed to like just be its own separate thing. Dad pointed this out last week, but I didn't tell you. It's supposed to be its own separate thing from my phone number, but it just kind of goes to my voicemail. It's not my phone number, but it goes to my voicemail.
Gotcha.
So if it just kind of sounds like my personal voicemail, it's because it is, but it's not my number. It's just Google Voice forwarding to my phone number. Cool. So I'm sorry you don't get like your own little fancy unlimited content voicemail message. I set one up. I don't know why it's not working. If any of you guys know how to set up Google Voice things, let me know.
Leave
but
a voicemail.
The number works. The number works. I might just answer the phone because like I see you are calling me and be like, "Hi, how's it going?" You're like, "I wanted to leave you a voicemail. I don't want to talk to you." So just let me know that. But also don't be mean about it.
Yeah, I'm here for the unlimited content, not for you, Sam.
Yeah, okay. All right. Aw. So yeah, that's that. Yay voicemails. Yay fans. Yay friends. We love you all.
Yay.
Okay, Jack, are we ready to jump into this week's episode?
Yes.
Are we ready?
I think so. Yeah, this
Okay.
week's episode was Tales of the Jedi, Season 1, Episode 4, The Sith Lord. Sam, where does this episode take place in the timeline?
This takes place in the year 32 BBY, 32 years before the Battle of Yavin. It is concurrent with the ending scenes of The Phantom Menace. So the beginning of the episode takes place
Like mid-Phantom Menace.
Mid-Phantom Menace, when it's around the same time as the scene when Anakin, as the little boy, is talking to the Jedi Council, and he's doing little flashcard thingies with Mace Windu, with a ship, a speeder, whatever. Yeah. Your thoughts dwell on your mom. That scene. It takes place like between that and them going back to Naboo and whatnot. That's the first half, and the second half of the episode takes place immediately after the Duel of the Fates, but before Qui-Gon's funeral.
Yes. Yeah. This was I think a beautiful episode. I think there's a lot to learn about this episode. Do you want to walk us through briefly what happens in this episode, Sam?
For sure. Yeah. So the episode begins with Count Dooku in the Jedi archives. He's walking through the Jedi library, and then he goes into a back room of the Jedi archives. He's looking real shifty. The music's all dark and ominous. He's looking over his shoulder a lot. He walks into this back room. He punches in a code. The computer addresses him as Jedi Master Sifo Dyas. Dun dun!
Scandal.
We figured out who that is. It's Dooku the whole time, even though it was supposed to be Sidious, but it was a typo in the script in episode 2. And so it's Sifo Dyas.
Wait, really?
It's supposed to be Sido Dyas. It's supposed to be Sido Dyas, like Sidious.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
And they left it in.
That's incredible.
Isn't it? It's so fun. George Lucas like, that's not it. Never mind. It's better.
That was
Let's
intentional.
Leave it there.
What are you talking about?
More mystery. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So Sifo Dyas, supposed to be Sido Dyas, supposed to be Sidious, was actually Dooku the whole time. So Dooku sneaks into the back room of the Jedi archives. He punches in little codes, says, "Welcome, Jedi Master Sifo Dyas," something like that, and he accesses the file for Kamino, and he deletes Kamino from the archive memories, as that one weird little youngling says in episode 2. And then he walks out, and he encounters Jedi Master Jocasta Nu, who is the one who runs the Jedi archives. She's the Jedi librarian extraordinaire. And she talks to Dooku about his old Padawan, Qui-Gon Jinn, encountering what Qui-Gon claims is a Sith Lord on a small Outer Rim planet named Tatooine. So he hears about Qui-Gon and Tatooine, and Dooku's like, "I've been warning the Jedi Council about the upcoming Sith for years, but they never listen." And then he walks out, and he sees Qui-Gon and Yaddle, Jedi Master Yaddle.
Yes, Yaddle.
Voiced by Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yes, Bryce Dallas Howard voices Yaddle, which is the one of 3 canon characters currently who are of Yoda's species. And the only other one, including Yoda, and the only other one that we've heard speak, because we've never really heard like Grogu just sort of babbles or presses his yes and no buttons.
Or presses yes and no buttons. Love that.
Yeah, and then it's weird because like it's kind of funny to me that like, you know, Yoda has this weird backwards way of speaking, and Yaddle doesn't. So that just means just that like Yoda's just weird. Yoda's just a weirdo.
Yoda is just decidedly a weird dude, and we love that for him.
He's just like, yeah, this is the way I am, and everybody's like, yeah, he's you know what? He's really old. Let him do what he wants.
Yep. Nope. Pretty sure that was just Jim Henson doing Star Wars. Or no, it was Frank Oz. Was it? Was Frank Oz?
Yeah, it was Frank Oz. Yeah.
Who was it?
It was Frank Oz.
Yeah. That was just Frank Oz being a goon on Dagobah in episode 5. Yes. That's why Yoda speaks the way he is. It's because Frank Oz is funny.
Excellent.
But yeah, so Qui-Gon and Yaddle have a conversation with Dooku. Dooku says, I would love to meet your Padawan, Obi-Wan Kenobi, someday. And then they walk off. That's kind of, they just have like a little conversation. Seems kind of ominous. Yaddle seems a little suspicious of Dooku, not sure what's going on. He's just kind of like, he's giving broody emo vibes. Is really the only way I can really describe it. As he's wont to do. He's just dramatic and emo, and like something's weird. Mm-hmm. And Yaddle is suspicious. Qui-Gon is distracted because he's taking care of a 9-year-old now that he just bought on Tatooine.
He just bought a 9-year-old.
He just,
I mean, kind of.
Yeah, I saw that today on Twitter. I saw this meme. It was like, I wonder what the accountant at the Jedi Temple thought when Qui-Gon submitted like his expense report from the trip to Tatooine. He's like, I see you purchased a boy? You bought a boy.
Actually, I won him in a gambling. I won him, in a bet.
Yeah.
So I went to Tatooine I went to Tatooine and started betting on races and won a slave. So that's what I've been doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Anyway, yeah. So after that scene, in between that scene and the next scene, Qui-Gon dies. So
yeah,
talk about transitions there.
Yep.
Yep. So speaking of Qui-Gon's dead now. The next scene opens up with Dooku staring forlornly at a tree at the Jedi Temple.
Yeah.
This very fancy tree that's at the Jedi Temple. It has some sort of spiritual significance. I don't really remember what. Jack, do you remember what's up with that tree? Or if there's any, I know it's special, but I don't really. Do we know anything?
I don't remember specifically anything about the tree, but I do remember it's been in a few different Clone Wars episodes before. Like it was in what was going to be the series finale of Clone Wars at the end of season 6 with Yoda. It was in a couple of episodes there. Yeah, so we've seen this tree before. It's like this courtyard. But I don't know anything in particular about the tree.
It seems to be a rather significant place that's charged with the Force.
Yeah.
I know in reading Light of the Jedi, one of the things that the Jedi in that book really kind of focus on, I'm putting this together as I'm talking.
Sure.
Is that the light side of the Force is connected with life a lot, and it's a lot easier to access commune with the Force, specifically the light side of the Force, when you are surrounded by living things. There's a scene in Light of the Jedi when there's this interplanetary disaster going on, and all the Jedi are trying to use the Force to stop these things traveling. That there's basically a car crash in hyperspace, and then these big pieces of shrapnel from this car crash are basically decimating this system. Mm-hmm. And all these Jedi fly into the system and use the Force to slow down and stop these things before they hit stuff. They all they all work together, and some of the Jedi go down onto the planet's surface just to be surrounded by living things, so that they can commune better with the Force. They could stop it from space, from their spaceships, but they decide to be on the planet's surface to commune better with the Force. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if this tree, on Coruscant, it's pretty devoid of life other than like people. Like there's no nature. It's just kind of like city. So courtyards and gardens and things are probably places where it's more easy to commune with the Force than other places on Coruscant. So I imagine this is a sacred place at the Jedi Temple to commune better with the Force. So anyway, so Dooku is mourning Qui-Gon's death at this place, at this tree. And Yaddle shows up basically to console Dooku, but also just like is suspicious that Dooku's going to go off and do something.
Yeah. It was like, heads up, funeral is, we're all leaving. If are you ready to go? And he's like, I don't think I would be a pleasant presence there. And she's like, do you blame the Jedi Council for this? And yeah, it's just kind of clearly like his anger and frustration with the Jedi kind of comes to a head in this moment. With the death of his Padawan, his beloved Padawan, Qui-Gon Jinn, who is probably one of the greatest Jedi to have ever graced the presence of the Jedi Council, the Jedi Order. Definitely.
And so they have kind of a tense conversation, and Dooku like very elegantly storms off to his ship, and Yaddle sneaks and follows him. Dooku flies off to this kind of industrial part of town, like kind of like dingy, rusty, like industrial area. He lands in this hangar. Yaddle lands on a balcony, like around the corner, and sneaks into the hangar. So Dooku goes and finds Palpatine. I mean, like he's hooded. Like you can't tell it's like Yaddle can't tell it's Palpatine, because he's like in his Sith robes,
and he's doing his evil voice.
He's doing his evil voice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which, by the way, that is Ian McDiarmid in this episode. We did get him to voice.
Nice.
Yeah, that's neat.
Love that.
Yeah, and actually there are a couple
Tim Curry
instances
in early episodes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So it was Tim Curry for a while, and before that it was somebody else. Anyway, but yeah, we got Ian McDiarmid back as Palpatine for this episode, and also Liam Neeson came back to voice Qui-Gon in this episode as well, which was cool.
Yes, he did. It was great. Yeah. So Dooku confronts Palpatine for pushing. Like, basically, like, Palpatine, we know Palpatine is, like, manipulating everything behind the scenes. But, like, Palpatine for sending Maul in to kill Qui-Gon. Like Dooku is pissed that Qui-Gon's dead because it's Palpatine's fault because Palpatine sent Maul to stop the Jedi. And Qui-Gon died because of it.
Yeah. So basically in the scene, Dooku is like, why did you let him die? This is your fault. Like, we could have had a powerful ally in him, and Palpatine says, maybe for you. And Dooku's like, are you doubting my loyalty? And Palpatine goes, always. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that sounds like a Sith thing to say.
Yeah. No, that tracks.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. So, and it kind of at that point, Yaddle jumps in and, like, interrupts what they're talking about.
Yeah, she's like, shut up, you bad guys. Stop.
Yeah.
No. I've heard enough.
Yeah, and it kind of becomes like this emotional tug of war between Yaddle and Palpatine over Dooku, and Dooku ultimately sides with Palpatine. They begin a really intense, cool lightsaber duel, which just kind of seems a lot like the one that Dooku has with Yoda in Episode 2. Like very similar, like Yaddle jumping around and Dooku slashing at the ground.
Yeah,
a lot of that. And at one point, the fighting slows down. And Yaddle tries to plead with Dooku again. And she says, I stepped down from the Jedi Council for the same reason that you're pissed at the Jedi Council. You're right. Like, Yaddle's like, Dooku, you're right to be mad. You're right to have these fair critiques of the Jedi Council. This is why I'm no longer on the Council, because I didn't agree with the things that the Jedi Council was doing. But it was kind of too little too late, I guess, for Dooku. Dooku's already gone.
Yeah.
He already made up his mind. And he needed to conceal his, I guess I don't know, like his intentions aren't exactly clear, but it seems pretty clear that he needed to conceal the Sith Lord. He needed to conceal his affiliation with the Sith Lord.
I think Dooku felt like
Yaddle needed to go.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, obviously Dooku was all in at this point, but also I think it was a matter of he felt like he was too far in to back out anyway. Like even if he wanted to, you know, he's like. He conspired with a Sith Lord. that's pretty bad. And he and Yaddle is like from the beginning of this conversation is trying to say like, whatever you've done, you still have a chance to turn things around if you help me defeat this Sith Lord. If you come to me and return to the Jedi, you're not, we're not without hope here. But I think Dooku is already kind of given into it and does not feel that that's the case. I don't think I don't think he feels comfortable with
no.
Which I don't blame him. Like, I don't think that the Jedi Council as it is would take kindly to any of this, and probably would not be forgiving of Dooku's indiscretions. Yeah,
and also like this is like how Palpatine gets his apprentices. Mm-hmm. Like we saw it before. I mean, we haven't seen it yet, but we saw it before in Revenge of the Sith. Mm-hmm. This is kind of like very similar to the scene where Mace Windu comes to arrest Palpatine and Anakin's there. Mace Windu and Yaddle kind of playing a similar role in this tug of war scenario over this impressionable, like, will this Jedi go to the dark side with Palpatine or go back with this Jedi Council member? Mm-hmm. And it ends the same way both times.
Yeah.
The only way in Star Wars history that it doesn't go that way is Luke and Vader, because Vader's seen it before. Mm-hmm. So that's the only in episode 6. So Indeed. Anyway, that's kind of the end. So it ends with Dooku kills Yaddle, and that's kind of just the end of the episode. It's one thing I noticed at one point when Yaddle is kind of giving her last kind of like speech to kind of like pull Dooku back to the light side. When she says, I step down from the council, we get a glimpse of Palpatine's eyes, and they're blue. At the end of the episode, after Yaddle's dead, he has the yellow Sith eyes. His eyes change color during the episode.
Interesting. I noticed that it was yellow at the end, but I didn't notice the blue eyes.
I noticed it was I didn't notice it when I watched it when it came out. I didn't notice it, but on this rewatch for this podcast recording, I noticed his eyes like, oh, his eyes are blue. I wonder, like, does he like? Because in my mind I was like, do his eyes not turn yellow until like he becomes the Emperor? And like, is that when that happens? Because I know like now that I think about it, like Sith's eyes aren't always yellow. Like, it's kind of like when they're like really in tune with the dark side, that's when their eyes do the yellow thing.
Yeah.
But like when they're kind of like more on their, I don't know, natural, not evil.
When they're not so in tune with being bad. Yeah.
Yeah. When they're not doing the bad thing, they seem more presentable and less like devil eyes.
Yeah. That's neat. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't notice that, and that's a cool like little detail of like, yeah, I don't know if it's like necessarily I don't think it's something we can read into as being like, canonically Sith's eyes turn yellow when they do bad things, as much as it is like a visual motif that they use for storytelling purposes, which is a cool thing that I didn't notice. That's neat. I like that.
Yeah, that was, I like that. Mm-hmm. It was cool.
Yeah. One visual I really liked in this episode was during that final battle in that like kind of dilapidated building, the gate that opens up for Dooku's ship to fly in, it's like this big like rounded grate situation with kind of like almost teeth around it. It looks kind of like a couple of like a giant gear or something, but when it opens up, it looks a lot like a sort of sinister, like sharp-toothed creepy smile in shape. That made me I don't know, I feel like that must have been intentional, that they designed the door that way to like, it feels like Dooku has entered the maw of the Sith, like this is a place of evil,
It is. I got like Joker from Batman the Animated Series vibes from that, like this hideout that Sidious has. Like it just feels like one of Joker's hideouts, like just because of the big old like evil looking grin thing.
Yeah.
Like it's just like this just feels like something the Joker would have.
Sure, yeah. He would have a creepy smile door. Yeah, that makes sense.
He would definitely have a creepy smile door. Yeah. But yeah, no, I definitely, that was a kind of a cool visual. Like, I didn't think about it like in the maw of the Sith. That's really cool. Yeah, I like that.
Another thing I liked about this episode was, I think there's a lot to love about this episode. There's a lot of really beautiful shots. And I think also the music in this episode was gorgeous. There's a lot of like really like like kind of bassy choral music, and it feels very like this is the end of something and the beginning of something terrible. It gives this very ominous feeling. Yeah, Kevin Kiner knocked it out of the park for this episode, definitely.
It was Kevin Kiner. I love that.
I believe he did the music for this series. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That was my assumption, because I knew it probably wasn't John Williams.
Probably not.
But no, probably not. But the musical motifs the whole time sound a lot like Qui-Gon's funeral. Like it's like has a similar feel to the music during Qui-Gon's funeral.
Yeah,
Kind of like they like either play up the energy or play down the energy depending on what's going on in the scene. But it just kind of feels like that one scene was the soundtrack, because that was kind of like what was overshadowing this whole episode was Qui-Gon's funeral. Yeah. So,
and also just like in the scene when they're in the courtyard, and like Yaddle and Dooku are talking in front of the tree. There's like you can hear thunder in the background. It just feel like, man, they did such a good job like setting the mood for this episode, setting a tone. Yeah.
And in this whole anthology series, Tales of the Jedi, like the animation, it's like it has peaked with this, like because it was kind of like beginning of Clone Wars, like it clearly like looks like it all comes from the same animators, but just like they get better and better at animating with every episode, and as their budget increases as well.
Yeah, budget, and also like just the technology gets better too, like over the course of the however long it took to get to this point from the original Clone Wars. Like because
there's a definite difference between like season 1 Clone Wars or like the Clone Wars movie to
like season 5,
like season 7, season 5, season 6, season 7 for sure. And Tales of the Jedi just seems like one step above any of that.
I agree that it looks great. I think that this is about on par with how season 7 looked, like especially the Siege of Mandalore episodes. Like I think those look amazing. Sure. But yeah, no, agreed that like they've definitely come into their own over at Lucasfilm Animation. They're at the top of their game here, certainly.
I love it. Jack, what was your favorite part of this episode? There's a lot of great parts of this episode. If you had to pick one, what would you pick?
I think I would have to say just the scene in the courtyard. It's just so atmospheric and ominous. You can feel what's coming. You know what's coming, and you can tell like. It's the performances, it's the visuals and the lighting and the composition and the music and the sound effects of like you can hear the wind blowing through the trees and you can hear the thunder, and it's just it gives me goosebumps. I think that was just a really amazing moment.
Yeah. I was gonna say the same scene, but since you said that, I'll say something else.
Okay.
The scene in the hangar, especially like Dooku's kind of like last ditch like conversation with Palpatine before Yaddle shows up. Just like he's clearly like, I think he sees what's coming and like where his path is leading, and he's kind of like, I don't want to go down this way. Like, don't make me go down this way. I can't make it feels like he's kind of pleading with like it's a bridge too far, and then Yaddle shows up and kind of forces his hand. And with Palpatine standing right there, like if Palpatine wasn't in the room, like things might have been different, but like Yaddle there with Palpatine there, his hand is forced, and it's kind of like there's no way back. But just that scene before Yaddle makes her appearance, just the emotion that Dooku was going through and the pain that he was feeling, and just like I don't know, he was kind of beside himself talking to to Palpatine. I don't know.
Oh yeah, agreed.
There's a lot of emotion in this episode. And it was all very like well done.
Yeah, definitely. There's a whole lot in that sequence in the hangar. Like, I think that it's cool that we get to see kind of Dooku in his final moments before going full dark side, where he's still like, over the course of this arc in Tales of the Jedi, we get a sense of like, Dooku being a good and wise Jedi who is just frustrated with the way of things, and over time we see that like he feels like he's been pushed into a corner, and that this is the only way to affect change in what he sees as a broken and corrupt system. And I think that in this episode we see the last vestiges of hope and of like him clinging on to the goodness of the world and kind of the regret of doing what he's done. Like there's this one line where he's talking to Yaddle in that final confrontation, and he's like, how many have died, how many have suffered because of my actions. He's clearly like he hasn't gone full Sith yet. He's still regretful and still like mournful, and I think that a large part of that is the fact that he's still mourning Qui-Gon. He's sort of in a what have I done state before he's fully given in. And there's another great line during that conversation when Yaddle is sort of pleading with him to like, you can still change, you can still amend your ways, you can come back to us. And Dooku says, I'm afraid. And Yaddle says, I know you are. But then Dooku continues and says, I'm afraid it is too late. And then they start fighting.
Yeah.
You know, what a great line, you know?
I know. It's like in that moment, he made up his mind.
That's the decision point,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, that was like, that's the turning point. That's like that's where he takes the leap. He's like, all right, here we go. No turning back.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, man. What an episode. Jack, MVP, who do you think?
I gotta go with Yaddle. I mean, there are not a ton of characters to choose from, but like Yaddle is like, this is the first time we really get any characterization for Yaddle, at least in terms of like the film and TV canon. Because the only other time we see Yaddle in film or TV is during The Phantom Menace, where she just sort of sits there and never says anything. And so
it's it's Yoda in a wig. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. And in this, we get a great performance from Bryce Dallas Howard, and we get to see we get a little bit of insight into who this character is, which we didn't really have before, and we get this understanding of Yaddle as a character who's she's part of the Jedi Council, and she tries to stick to the rules, but she still clearly has a level of empathy and understanding to where she's able to recognize the flaws that maybe a lot of the other Jedi Council members don't see or don't acknowledge. And that makes it all the more tragic that, her efforts ultimately are in vain to prevent Dooku from falling to the dark side. And she's sort of the first casualty of the Clone War in some ways. Like, not that it's started yet, but it's in the machinations of the Sith and manipulating and getting to the point of this war. She's the first person who has to die to keep this under wraps, basically. And plus she gets a really cool badass moment where we think Yaddle's dead because she's been crushed by the door, and then she she lifts up the door and the Force theme plays in the background. The sunset is behind her and it looks really awesome. And then she stumbles into the room and has kind of exhausted all of her energy. But I like that she got one last moment of sort of righteousness and badassness of just yeah, that's right. I'm a cool Jedi. I might have failed here ultimately, but I've done my best. I've done what's right as much as I could.
And it also makes Dooku really face Yaddle when he puts her down.
Yeah, as opposed to
he can't just drop a house on her. He's not we're not just close the door on her and be done and kind of just not technically an off-screen death, but
yeah, he doesn't get his hands dirty. Yeah. He doesn't have to look at her as it happens.
Yeah. It's almost as if the dark side of the Force is no, you got to do this.
Yeah.
The dark side is
you're not getting off that easy. Yeah.
It's not that easy.
Exactly.
You gotta actually do this. Oh man. Yeah, no, Yaddle, definitely the MVP for this episode. Not that we had a lot of other choices for MVP
yeah.
for this episode. But
Jocasta knew, and her 2 lines.
Her 2 lines are just hey, did you hear?
Did you know?
Qui-Gon thinks he sees a Sith. Yeah, that's kind of it.
Tatooine.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Main character kill count. We got a kill from Dooku.
Dooku's got 1.
Yeah, Dooku's got a kill. Is that his first? I think that's his first kill, isn't it?
It is his first kill.
Yeah. Mazel tov, Dooku. First kill.
You did it. You killed somebody. Yeah. Mace Windu beat you to the punch. Oops.
No Wilhelm scream in this very serious episode. That would be very out of place. If Yaddle dies,
we'll
and
have
it plays
next week.
The Wilhelm scream.
Yeah. Ah! It's just Yaddle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aw. Kevin Kiner's like very like somber music is playing. He just Wilhelm scream. Like, no!
Yeah.
Totally in place, not out of place at all.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. That is the last of the Tales of the Jedi that we're going to be talking about for a long while.
Yeah.
Not sure how long of a while, but a very long while.
Yeah.
Because after this week, next week we're going to be talking about, spoiler alert, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
Another movie already?
Another movie already. And then it's into the Clone Wars. In the Clone Wars, there's so much stuff. And if we do one episode per episode, one Clone Wars episode per episode of the podcast, looking at the calendar right now, how far into our lives is it going to be?
It'll be December 2025 when we get to Revenge of the Sith.
So chances are we're gonna condense some episodes.
Yeah,
Clone Wars,
we're thinking that we're gonna do, instead of like one episode at a time per episode for the Clone Wars, that for some of those we're gonna do like an arc at a time, so that maybe we have unlimited content here, so maybe we could speed it up a little bit.
Yeah. And also, we're doing the math. The rate at which Star Wars is releasing content, we will literally never catch up.
It is unlimited content.
It is unlimited content. Like, if you want us to ever talk about Return of the Jedi, this is what we have to do.
Before we retire.
Before we retire. If we ever want to talk about Mandalorian, if we ever want to talk about Ahsoka on this podcast, other than just, like, our reactions as we're watching it when it releases, but, like, talk about it in the context of the unlimited content,
the canon
universe,
the
canon of unlimited content. This is what we have to do. So we're gonna have to condense some episodes into arcs. We're never just gonna do like a whole season of this. It's always gonna be the way the Clone Wars is written is usually in like 3 or 4 episode arcs, where 3 or 4 episodes tell one story, and so we'll look at that instead of, so we'll be kind of speeding our way more through the Star Wars timeline, just so we can actually do this very ambitious thing that we've set out to do.
Yeah, it's a lot, in case you hadn't noticed from the title of our podcast.
It is a lot, yes.
It's interesting to me that we've only got one episode of content between The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, that there's so little canon film and TV in that era.
I know, because how long does that take between, like...
I mean, it's like 9 years or something, right? Like,
it's a 10-year gap. Mm-hmm. Attack of the Clones takes place in 22 PBY, and this is 32.
Wow.
So it's 10 years. We get 10 years of just Anakin and Obi-Wan training.
Yeah. I wonder if we'll ever get more
before the Clone Wars,
more like animated canon or anything. I wonder if that'll be like we'll get Tales of the Jedi. That's like Tales of the Jedi season 2. That'll be about that era, because there's a lot of untapped stuff in there that we could learn about.
There is Tales of the Jedi season 2. I would love to see Anakin as a Padawan in animated form for this little thing. And I think Anakin, who do you think would be good, kind of like, because it seems like if they're following the same pattern that they do for Tales of the Jedi season 1, it's 2 characters with parallel stories that diverge, right? So we got Ahsoka and Dooku both become disillusioned with the Jedi Order.
And one turns to the Sith.
Both leave the Jedi Order, one turns to the Sith, and one is just kind of this...
renegade superhero.
Renegade superhero doing vigilante, doing Jedi things without being affiliated with the Jedi Order,
Yeah.
Who, like, what 2 characters have similar stories that we think will kind of go off in that direction? That have kind of diverging paths.
That's a good question.
Think Anakin, my initial thought might be, gosh, I don't know.
My thought was I don't think this will be what it is, because this is what the movies and the Clone Wars are already about. But Anakin and Obi-Wan, I think there's still some stuff in their backstories that we haven't seen explored. I would love to see more Obi-Wan and Satine stuff, to see more of stuff that's hinted at about their relationship that we don't get to see in the Clone Wars. You kind of to see
and in the Mandalorian for some reason. Why are you, Satine? Come on, I want a Satine flashback in the Mandalorian, please.
That'd be cool. Please. Yeah, we haven't seen
That'd be so much fun.
We haven't seen live action Satine before. That'd be cool.
or even heard her name mentioned. Like, at least acknowledge.
That's true. Yeah, Bo-Katan is like a main character in this season of The Mandalorian, and she hasn't mentioned her sister once.
Yeah, and it's just like she vaguely mentions her dad, who's like not even a huge, if I remember correctly, not even a huge character.
Yeah.
In the Clone Wars, right? Like Satine's the huge character. They're just like, it's your father. Like, where's Satine? Give me Satine. Come on.
Hashtag where's Satine? Yeah.
Where is she? So you think Anakin and Obi-Wan would be? Yeah, I would like that. Another parallel. I'm gonna think out. I'm going rogue here, going wild.
Sure.
Off the other end. I'm trying to think of. I have my one that goes to the dark side. I'm trying to think of a parallel that goes to the light side that I could talk about. The dark side was Ben Solo. I want to see Ben Solo, Kylo Ren.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
that'd be
interesting
interesting to get a Tales of the Jedi from the sequel era. Yeah, that'd be neat.
Yeah,
and also just to see like the sequel era in Clone Wars style animation would be kind of cool. Like to see animated Ben Solo. Like, yeah.
I imagine his face will be longer than Dooku's, just because Adam Driver has a very long face. Just a very large, interesting looking face.
He's more face than torso.
He is more the face, but his torso is massive.
He's got a big old
one
torso.
Shirtless scene.
Yeah. I heard he has an 8-pack.
The man is a tank. But if we could do, if we get Din Djarin as a foundling, that'd be cool.
Ooh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Because they're both the same era too. Because that's kind of how Tales of the Jedi was.
But that's also
era. If we could get
Din's not a Jedi though, so I feel like that probably wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Maybe
Kanan?
Maybe like
no.
I mean, Kanan would be cool. Grogu maybe like just like see a little bit of Grogu in his like actual Jedi Temple days. Like that'd be kind of neat.
Yeah.
And then,
but I feel like that would just be adorable Grogu with Jedi Master Keller and Beck.
I mean,
and just antics. I don't think there'd be a lot of like character development.
True.
I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't object, but you're right that
I would not either. But there's probably more interesting things we could do. It'd be fun. There's more interesting.
You know who is another character that I would like to hear to see more of kind of their story that we get a good amount of it, but it's only ever kind of hinted to for the most part. Is Sifo Dyas. I think that'd be cool to like see like. You know, what actually was it like when he went and commissioned the clone army? And
maybe. I guess I'm forgetting that Sifo Dyas is actually a real person.
No, yes, Sifo Dyas. Yeah, I was going to say earlier,
and not just like and not just like an alias that like Dooku went off.
Yeah, no, Sifo Dyas was real. It's just he died, and then they kind of kept up the like. I think Dooku and Palpatine like sort of pretended to communicate as him for a while. Is the idea?
Yeah.
Because like in
identity theft is a serious crime, Jim.
Yeah,
identity theft is a serious crime.
Yeah, Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
Millions are affected every year.
Millions. And
Millions.
In Attack of the Clones, we like I think one of the Kaminoans is like Sifo Dyas is still on the Jedi Council, is he not? And then Obi-Wan's like Sifo Dyas has been dead for 10 years. So clearly there's
10 years ago. Phantom Menace was 10 years before. So I wonder how recently did Sifo Dyas die?
Yeah, that's a good point. And how
because they're 10 years apart. And how did they die?
Did Tyrannus kill him, or like I don't know. Maybe that is something we know in canon and we're just forgetting. But anyway, I would love to see more of that because Sifo Dyas is such an interesting like sort of mysterious character that we don't actually like. We know about the things that he does, but we don't know a lot about him as a character, as a person, and his personality.
Yeah, we don't. I wonder if we'll get like a High Republic era Tales of the Jedi.
That'd be neat.
With like a young Yoda.
Ooh, some Yoda backstory. That'd be neat. Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows?
Well, all right. This has been a good episode.
It's a good episode.
Yeah. Join us next time, everybody, when we'll talk about Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, with a special guest. That's right. We're going to have another movie episode and another guest.
Who could it be?
You'll have to tune in to find out.
You will have to tune in to find out. Max, you'll also have to tune in to find out.
Yeah. Who could it be? Yeah, Max, listen in next time, and maybe you'll find out who it is that is the guest on the next episode.
Yeah. Is it Max? Who knows?
Shh.
Max.
Quiet.
Oh, sorry.
It's a secret to everybody.
I'm sorry. The guest is not our younger brother, Max. I promise.
You can't just lie.
My fingers are crossed, but it's a podcast. You can't tell.
Cool.
All right. You don't know if my fingers are actually. Who knows?
All right. Thanks, everybody. We look forward to not seeing or hearing you, but I'll see and hear my brother again, and you'll get to listen to it, and that'll be cool.
Indeed.
Okay. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Love you all.
May the force be with you all.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, cut the chatter. Roger, Roger.